Welcome on, welcome all, and welcome back. If you've been on this channel for any length of time, you have known that I've been doing a series of reviews, a series of retro reviews and collaborations leading up to Star Wars The Last Jedi, and we have reached our final chapter, friends. It is time. It is time to talk about my favorite Star Wars film since The Empire Strikes Back, and I'm not gonna do this alone. I'm gonna do this with a really awesome guy. So say hello, everybody, to Durban from Durbania.
What's up? I try to be awesome. I mean, I just work on it. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here. This has been so fun going through this whole series of retro reviews, and I agree with you. I think this is probably my favorite Star Wars movie since The Empire Strikes Back. And definitely a great, epic return of this Star Wars franchise to the big screen. So I am so excited to jump into this one.
Alright, and before we begin, guys, we want to know what your thoughts are on The Force Awakens. So whatever comments or questions that you may have about the film itself, leave it in the comment section down below, and we'll be sure to interact with as many of you as we can get to. But one thing we need to note right off the bat about The Force Awakens is about how it so successfully made everybody fall in love with the Star Wars universe again. I know there are those out there that love the prequel trilogy. I mean, I have fun with the prequel trilogy. There are certain elements of it that I like, but overall, I think it was just a big flop. There were so many missteps and mistakes, and it just felt like it took Star Wars away from the fans, away from the people. What J.J. Abrams did is kind of a miracle. Because when the trailer dropped for The Force Awakens, as far as I know, it was one of, if not the most watched trailer of all time during that time period. And once it launched in the theaters, everybody loved it. It brought back that sense of Star Wars, of being home. It brought back that sense of family.
Yeah. And this is something I'm going to touch on right out of the gate. A lot of people that are kind of down on this movie are down on this movie because it is a rehash of A New Hope. So I'm going to be honest. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of beats that are taken from A New Hope, including a Death Star, a mentor who passes away. They follow a lot of very similar beats from A New Hope. And I'm going to follow that up with, I don't care. It kind of goes back to what you were saying, Cody. It's that sense of home. And I think there was a sense that they really kind of had to do that because, like you said, the prequels were kind of a flop. And there's parts of the prequels that I have fun with, but overall I don't like them. And the only places with the prequels I have fun with are the lightsaber fights. So when you put aside the acting, the story, the plot, the directing, everything, the lightsaber fights are the parts with the prequels that I actually have fun with. Otherwise, I don't even really care that much. And so what was kind of nice about Force Awakens is it did bring you back to that sense of home. And I actually really liked that it followed several beats from A New Hope because it did. It brought me back into the Star Wars universe. It gave me that sense of familiarity. It gave me that sense of home. And that sense of nostalgia just absolutely washed all over me. And so, I think this movie did what it was supposed to do. It brought you back. And I'm just excited. And I can't wait for the next movie. I can't wait.
The Last Jedi, how much hype has been built up for this movie? Guys, if you don't already know, before we get back into The Force Awakens, when The Last Jedi comes out, shortly thereafter, Durban and I are going to be doing a spoiler review for that, so look out for that. One thing I absolutely love about The Force Awakens is not only just the familiar beats, but right up front, you can tell this is a movie not directed by George Lucas. This movie looks and feels sort of different than every other Star Wars film we have gotten in the past. I mean, it feels like Star Wars for sure, but the way it's shot, the performances, everything in this film just feels like it's a step above some of the stuff we have gotten before. I mean, some of the action scenes, and by the way, there are going to be some spoilers in this review, just so you're aware. The action scene on Jakku when Finn and Fray are going against those TIE fighters, going through that crashed Star Destroyer, all the action scenes in this movie, they're amazing!
Yes. I saw the sneak preview of this movie, and that scene with the TIE fighters, and they're on Jakku, and they're running around, and they're trying to get on the ship, and it blows up in front of them, and they're like, alright, we'll take the Junker. And as soon as the camera panned over, and it was the Millennium Falcon, oh my gosh, my theater lost it. and I lost it with him. I mean, it's one of those things that because of the trailers, I knew it was coming. I like, and the way they're talking about the junker, ignore the junker, it's kind of like, okay, I see what you're leading into there. But even so, the moment that camera panned over and there it was, in all its beauty and all of its glory, I got freaking chills and I was so excited. And then the moment, and they put it in all the trailers where Han Solo and Chewie walk back onto the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and he's like, Chewie, we're home. And just because I saw it a million times in the trailer, because I watched that trailer about 50 million times, it didn't lose that impact when I went and saw it on the big screen. In fact, all the context of the film gave that moment so much more power. So like, there's so many beats I love about this movie, and I think J.J. Abrams did a great job. I am a fan of how he directs. I'm a fan of what he did with Star Trek and the second Star Trek movie. I know a lot of people kind of are back and forth on Into Darkness, but I really liked it. So I liked what he did with those Star Trek movies, and I was pretty excited to see him bridge the gap and cross over to the Star Wars camp, and I was like, yes! I can't wait to see what fresh life this guy's going to breathe into it. And when I heard Episode 9 was getting a new director, I was a champion for bring Abrams back! And he's back! So, like, I don't know. I like his style. I like the action. I like the way he filmed it.
So long as there aren't any lens flares in Star Wars Episode 9, I think we'll be good.
Well, he managed to avoid it for the most part in Force Awakens, so I have faith he can avoid the lens flares for this one too.
So do I. J.J. Abrams, he's such an amazing director. The guy has done masterful work. But in all honesty, besides, the action and the lightsaber battles, which there's only a couple, but let me say, they are fantastic to watch because they feel so realistic. They feel so gritty and dirty and in the mud. They feel so like you're there, like you're in that situation. But the biggest thing that I love about The Force Awakens is not only the introduction of new, fantastic, likable, lovable characters, but also the integration of old characters from the original trilogy and their growth as time has gone on. You see Han Solo in this movie, and he is still that lovable, smuggler, sarcastic guy that we love from the original trilogy. But he has grown. He's learned so much. Back when we saw him in A New Hope, he's like, who cares about the Force? Who cares about all these hokey religions and ancient weapons? None of this stuff even matters, because all you need is a good blaster at your side. And now he's like, yeah, a blaster at your side's good, but the Force, the Jedi, the Sith, all of it, it's real and it's out there. And that particular growth for Han Solo was magnificent to see.
Yeah. And you know what was so cool about that was the balance they struck with this movie. So you have the new characters. And the new characters, they're the lead. And there's no doubt about it. This is about Rey. This is about getting to know Rey. And it's not just some kind of introduction and she's some sort of side character. No, this is about her. And it's about her journey. It's about these new characters. It's about their arcs. It's their story. And so when you're watching this movie, you get that overwhelming sense. This is their story and this is their time. And it's so cool. But then they bring in Han Solo, and they bring in Princess Leia, and they bring in Chewie, and they bring in C-3PO. And the way that they bring them in, it doesn't overshadow the new cast. It doesn't overshadow the new characters. And it's just the right amount of like salt and seasoning to add to the movie just to make it even greater. And like you said, it's the growth of Han Solo. The fact that he shows up and wears Princess Leia, and you find out that they're traumatized like over their son and what's been going on with Ben, and so they're traumatized over that, and in their trauma they've dealt with it in their own ways. And Han Solo went back to being a smuggler, which on the one hand was cool for us as an audience because we get to see Han Solo back in that smuggler role, but then at the same time, because of our attachment to the original trilogy, we're feeling that pain of their separation. We're like, no, you guys are so good together, you need it. Marriage counseling, whatever it takes. You guys need to get back together and work this out. Like, I mean, the way that it kind of just gave you that whole mixture of feelings. And then one of the smartest moves they did was not to give Luke Skywalker the lead in this one. Because I was reading in an article and they talked about how if they had put Luke as the lead in this movie, that basically you wouldn't care about anything else that's going on. Because, it's Luke Skywalker. You want to know what is Luke doing? What's Luke going to do next? Luke. And so I thought that was very smart of them to put Luke at the very, very end of this movie. Because, yeah, I was like everybody else. The moment Luke was going to show up, that would be all that I'd care about. And so they did a really great job even balancing that out so that you care about Luke, but you know what this movie's about. And so I thought, dang, they just did such a good job with this.
100%. And you know, Luke is a key figure for sure. But I gotta say, knowing the impact and knowing the roles that Leia and Luke are going to play down the road, I am very glad that they didn't include Luke, if at all, barely at all, in this particular film. And you know, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, these new additions to the Star Wars universe. I'm not gonna lie, they're some of my favorite additions to any additional film casting whatsoever, particularly Daisy Ridley. Because, as far as I'm concerned, I have gone back and forth with this so much. It's between her and Han Solo for me. I love the character of Rey. She's such a well fleshed out character. She has so much growth. She has so much learning. She is a character that everybody can connect with, and every time she's on screen, I just want to know what she's going to do next.
Yeah, she's definitely the one who is on the hero's journey in this movie, and they do a really great job with Rey. And like you said with Daisy Ridley, as an actress, like, I mean, she had so much on her shoulders as an actress to really carry this movie because her character really carries this movie. I mean, this is about her growth, and this is also a lot about Kylo Ren. And it's also a lot about his growth being Ben Solo, the son of Han Solo. And so, like, to have these two people playing off of each other like that, it is just so freaking good. And now that I've mentioned Kylo Ren and I'm wearing his shirt, I gotta talk about Kylo Ren. I love this character a lot. And I think what I like about this character, so in the original trilogy, not the original, in the prequel trilogy where they made Vader this whiny child, and it absolutely did not work for me, they managed to take that same kind of concept and apply it to Kylo Ren, but make it work. And it's not that I think Kylo Ren is a whiny child, but he is a poser. The kid is a poser 110%. He is unoriginal, and he has no real ambition of his own. He just wants to be Darth Vader. Not be like Darth Vader. He wants to be Darth Vader, which makes his character so fascinating. It makes the fact that he's so weak-willed and such a poser such an interesting character. And it's like, what is gonna happen with this guy? I mean, he has, like, no temper. I mean, the way we see him take the lightsaber, one thing goes wrong and he's blowing things up, stuff like that. I mean, Vader had composure. Vader was able to bring it in and keep it under control. And this guy is losing control. And it's like, he is so interesting to me that I cannot wait for this movie because, I mean, especially with what we see in the Last Jedi trailers where he's breaking his mask and, you know, he's on the collision course in the ship he's flying to, you know, blow up his mom, you know, as we're seeing all these interesting things going on, and what is probably trailer deceit, that last clip of the trailer where he's holding out his hand to Daisy Ridley, like, there are so many interesting things about his character, the way he played this character, the choices they took in writing this character, that I cannot wait to see where they're going to go with Kylo Ren next.
Kylo Ren is absolutely one of the most intriguing characters in all of this, because while Rey is on her hero's journey, it seems like Kylo Ren is on his own villainous journey. Because, yeah, in The Force Awakens, he is a poser. He's such a fake. He's just imitating. He's puffing out his chest to make himself look impressive, make himself look important. But now, after the events of Force Awakens, his arc in The Last Jedi, I cannot wait to see what that's going to be like. And there are probably some people out there who didn't like the fact that Kylo Ren wasn't exactly like Darth Vader, that he was just probably trying to be a Darth Vader ripoff, that he was just some kid, that he wasn't a monster underneath the mask like Vader was. Kylo Ren, there's so much to be learned from him, so much to be learned from all the characters within this. And one of the biggest things that I take away from The Force Awakens is just how much lore and how much depth it adds to the Star Wars universe. With all of these characters, with all the set pieces, with all of this new interesting story we are getting about Luke and about everything else. I love this movie.
Yeah, I do too. One of the things that you said that I want to elaborate on is Kylo Ren on his villainous journey. Because what's interesting about Kylo Ren's journey, he is on the hero's journey, except it's the villain. Like, he's making the conscious choice to want to be like Vader. I mean, like, this is his conscious choice. And it's interesting because he's growing and he's maturing in that choice. It's like the weight of that responsibility gets heavier and heavier on him. I mean, to the point that he makes the choice to kill Han Solo, his own father, which I saw this movie about maybe 4 or 5 times on the big screen, and every time my eyes welled up with tears when Han Solo ate it. Every time I got that lump in my throat. And when I go back and watch it even now, it's still there because it is such a powerful scene with so much buildup. And I think what makes it so interesting is, again, what a poser Kylo Ren is. And as it goes on, the weight of the responsibility of those choices gets heavier and heavier for him. And, we know he's making the wrong choices, but in his mind, these are big sacrifices to go on this deeper journey. And it's so interesting to watch his character.
You are right, Durban. Every time I watch that as well, my eyes swell up with tears. I mean, it's such a difficult and powerful scene to watch. And it's one of those things where I realize and I think to myself that is the turning point. Immediately when Kylo Ren thrusts the lightsaber into his father's chest and kills him, that is really the turning point to where Kylo Ren realizes he's going full in, he's going full on out to being on the dark side, to being a servant of evil. And it's just an interesting dynamic to watch. We've grown with Han Solo, and it's a very, very interesting place that they took him throughout the entire place of this movie until his death. And the part that always gets me about this scene, the death of Han Solo is a powerful thing, but it's Chewbacca, Rey, and Finn's reactions after it happens. I mean, the way they react, it's like they're losing a father figure, a best friend, someone so near and dear to their heart, and it is heartbreaking.
Oh, there's so much about that scene. I mean, they play with the lighting. I mean, okay, so the sun around their, Death Star is dying. And so, there's that one ray of light that's shining down on Kylo Ren. And even the pilots, as they're flying around, they're looking up at the sun. They're like, as long as there's light, there's still hope. So you have this ray of light shining down on Kylo on the bridge as Han Solo's there. But you have one side of his face that's kind of red. And so you see the dualistic battle that's going on inside of him. And then right before he stabs Han Solo, the sun goes out and the last bit of light disappears and his whole face turns red. And that's when you know it's bad. And yet it didn't even lessen the impact of the moment because it was just all of that played into it so much. And then, like you said, the cry of Chewbacca, the cry of Rey, the cry of Finn, you feel the pain in that moment of what they lost. It's so well done.
This whole movie as a whole is fantastic. We should talk about Princess Leia because it is important in this circumstances because for those of you who may not know, Carrie Fisher passed away at the very end of last year, and it's heartbreaking and tragic. But seeing her in The Force Awakens is really, especially coming back and watching it now, it really brings home that feeling of Star Wars for me. Because Carrie Fisher will be Princess Leia forever. She has paved the way. So many strong female leads. She has been an influence into helping women across the world feel like they are impacted, feel like they have the strength to become their own person. Carrie Fisher is amazing, and although her role is very subtle in The Force Awakens, needless to say, the emotion and the power is there. And hearing that Princess Leia is going to be a central force in The Last Jedi, I cannot wait for it, because I can guarantee one thing, as soon as Carrie Fisher pops on screen in The Last Jedi, I am most likely going to cry.
Yeah. Well, her role was pretty subtle in Force Awakens, but it had so much power because of everything you said. What Carrie Fisher brought to that character in the original trilogy, what weight that character still carries now, the weight that she still brought to the character, even in the subtle moments that she was in this movie. What she brings to Princess Leia is a powerful figure. And I can't wait for The Last Jedi, number one, because she is such a central figure. But I'm also very interested, what are they going to do now? Because they had to rewrite things with this unexpected tragedy. They had to redirect some things. And so I'm curious as to what are they going to do in The Last Jedi now that we've lost Carrie Fisher. And I am, like you, I'm going to be so sad when she pops up on screen. It's just, when she had that massive heart attack, I kid you not, I was praying for her, man. I was just like, oh no, we cannot lose Princess Leia. And like, she hung on there for a while, and then when I saw the headline that she had passed away, I was flat out angry. Like, I just did not want that to happen at all. I was angry. I was angry.
You and me both. Seeing such a strong figure like Carrie Fisher, like Princess Leia, just go away and pass away in such a subtle and such a mundane way. It's vexing, to say the least, and she will be continuously missed. Carrie Fisher, she's officially in the Force, and we know the Force surrounds us, it penetrates us, and it flows through us. And it's one of the many things that makes Star Wars great, so we know that Carrie Fisher will always be down, will always be here, looking out for us, watching out for us, because after all, that's who she was when she was here, and she was just such a kind and benevolent person. I'm so disappointed I never got the chance to meet her.
I'm just excited to see her final performance. And I really do hope they do some nice, like, dedication to her somehow in this movie, because, I mean, she deserves it. I mean, she is Princess Leia. There is no Princess Leia without her, and so I am looking forward to seeing her final performance in The Last Jedi.
You and me both, Durban. You and me both. Guys, we're getting pretty close to the point where we're going to wrap up, but that doesn't excuse the fact of how powerful Star Wars is. This is our last collaboration review until we talk about The Last Jedi separately and then together with our spoiler review. But Star Wars, to tell you the truth, it is everything to me. It has shaped me into the person I am today. I've grown up with these characters. I've watched these films, the original trilogy, Force Awakens, in total probably 150, 300 times. I love these movies so much. They are near and dear to my heart. And to see the family and the community they have brought together, I say this every single time we collaborate, Durban, but it's true. The community that Star Wars has brought together is something so powerful, something so spiritual, and something so family-oriented, very much like Star Wars is about family, that it's amazing. Star Wars is a miracle, and I don't know where we would be if we didn't get it, but A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi coming out in a couple of weeks. These are the things that bring us together, the community, the family, everybody in love and friendship, and it is phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't even add to what you just said. I 100% agree. Grew up with these characters, love these characters, and I'm very excited to get into these final two Skywalker trilogy movies and see where are things heading.
I couldn't agree more, Durban. Seeing where these characters are gonna go is gonna be phenomenal. Guys, when it comes to these collaborations, thank you so much for showing up. It shows that you care, and it also shows how much of a community, not only in Star Wars, but how much of a community we have here on YouTube. Community is a powerful thing, but it's only made powerful by the people who are involved and the people who interact with one another. Honestly, I've loved having this opportunity to talk Star Wars with Durban. And guys, like we said at the beginning of this video, whatever comments you have about The Force Awakens, or heck, The Last Jedi, or Star Wars in general, or about this community, leave those thoughts down below, because having a conversation with you guys about Star Wars, about anything, it's just one of the joys that we can have on this earth, whether the conversation is positive or negative. It's great to have interactions with one another. But before we leave off, Durban, how about you tell them where they can find you?
Well, you can find me right here on YouTube. Just search Durbania. I should be the one and only one that pops up. And I do movie reviews, this thing called a theological analysis, where I like to dig really deep into movies and their meanings and the pictures and all that fun stuff. Done quite a few of these actually with Star Wars in tandem with what Cody Curtis and I have been doing. I've been having an absolute blast with that. And then I do, your typical movie reviews, your ranking videos, your trailer reactions, and all that stuff. So would love to have you come over and check that out.
Guys, when Durban talks about his theological analysis, I don't think you realize how eye-opening these videos are. I've seen quite a few of them, and he dives into so much great stuff, so much great material in film that I would have never thought about myself. They're really insightful. Go over to Durban, give him some love, give him some support, and seriously, watch those theological analyses. They are fantastic. And just as a reminder, if you're new to this channel or you're new to Durban's channel, don't be afraid to press the subscribe button and tap the bell notification so you'll know whenever more content is up on these beautiful channels. And as always, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you all next time.